everybody! So, in this video, I'm going to show you all the options in a computer BIOS. So first off, if it's off, turn it on. And it's on. Let me turn the monitor on. This is actually TV, as I stated before. Alright. So to start off, put the keyboard back up here. You have your standard CMOS features. If you select that, you have your time, date, the year, ID channel 0, which is my DVD drive. But for some reason this all says IDE, and this board has SATA, so this is the older version of this particular BIOS software. So if you scroll down, you floppy 3 mode support. There's halt on but keyboard, which means if there's no Dell does this, the older Dells, if there's no keyboard attached, it halts the boot. So I'm going to push escape, and this is your advanced BIOS. Now this is the hard disk boot priority. So here's what it is. Your first boot device, if you're installing Windows, Linux, whatever, your CD-ROM is first. The third device, I have it disabled, but you could use that if you have multiple hard drives. You have third boot device, and you have password check setup, which means I could put a password on this. Limit, keep it max 3, disable, which means I can have a limited time, no execute memory protect. That's that. Halt, disable, which means I can halt a thermal monitor, which is disable, which means I can see how hot the CPU is getting. And there's virtualization technology. Now, I wouldn't use that unless I'm in a server, like a enterprise environment, because they do use that. I'm not sure if they use this. You have full screen logo show, which is that, which is disabled, and it's PEG. So anyway, if we go back, this is integrated peripherals. In here I have SATA. This is all the integrated peripherals. Then you go to power management setup. Here's the cool thing about this. AC backed on function, which is soft off. If you go to that, different board. Anyway, sorry. You can power on by keyboard, which means if you see my gaming machine and I have that power button, I could set it up to where I can use that power button to turn the thing on. I could power on by mouse. Just click the mouse and it turns it on. Now, I made a mistake in a video and somebody caught me. This is PNP PCI configurations. With this, PNP stands for plug and play. I made a mistake on one of my videos and somebody had caught it. What plug and play is you plug something in and it starts playing, basically. So if I do this, that is auto, which means I can let the BIOS, which is this, assign itself certain things. So if this one's being used, then the computer go, well, I want to use 5. It makes it easier. You can assign them, but on computers today, I like to let it do it so that way it doesn't, you don't have to go, change it out. This isn't like 1998, so I recommend leaving that on auto. You can do PC health status. Case opened. Yeah, so the BIOS realizes that the case has been opened. vCore, 18 volt, 192, 3.3, that 12 volt, 12.239 volts. Here's the cool thing. It's telling me all the CPU fans. Now, I have these disabled because I don't use these computers a whole lot. But what you could do is do a CPU warning temperature. So if it's getting really, really high, it'll warn you, hey, I'm getting really, really hot. Fan fail warning, which means if the CPU heatsink fan fails, it will let you know. Fan fail warning, it'll let you know. Power fan fail, it'll let you know. Warning, it'll let you know. CPU smart fan control, which is disabled. Now, if we go into, wrong one. So if you go into power management setup, AC back function. Now, you may see this as power on after power fail. So it's soft off. Okay, so if I do this, push enter, it's full on. Well, I'll show you that in a second. And if you go to load, I'm not going to do that yet. Optimization defaults. Set up supervisor password. What this means is I can set this up so I'm the only one that can access the BIOS. You'll see this common in office buildings. I could set it, and you save and exit, and you could set exit and without warning. So I'm going to do save and exit setup. I'm going to do yes, and I'm going to let the computer boot, and then I'm going to show you what happens. Now on these particular computers, and even my daily use computer, I don't have some of these warnings set up. You don't have to set them up, but they are there if, let's say, you're worried about something getting too hot. You could set it up to where the BIOS lets you know, like, hey, I'm running too hot. But so I'm going to let it go into Windows. I think I have Windows 10 on here. Alright, so now I'm going to use this as an example. You have a DDR cabinet running a StepMania style setup, using one of these computers that I have here. Right? So you're done for the night. Cut power. Right? Go home, eat dinner, go to bed, get back up, go to your local arcade. You power it on. It's booting. So, because in my other board, I'm using computer number 2, my other board, it says restore after power failure. So, some will say AC back on, some will say restore after power failure. So what happened is unless you don't have to have that turned on, which means as soon as your computer receives power, it's going to turn on. That's what that full on means. What has that set up? Well, as you hear me talk about ITG a lot. The boxers have it set to full on, which means as soon as they pop that circuit switch to the boxer, it's going to turn on. Now, I used this option when my computer number 1 was my ITG machine. Went up to a power strip switch, popped the switch, everything came on just like a real arcade game. So, if you're building an arcade game and you want to use this, you want to have everything in sync, you use the full on. So now we go out and oh, I forgot tweaker MIT. Graphics booster, clock, CPU clock ratio, which means I could actually overclock this. But the RGB function, it has a big bold letters here. So PCI express frequency, that's auto. Performance enhancements is turbo. System multiplier is auto. DRAM is auto. So I can do this. It's at the maximum. So this board is basically overclocked to the maximum. And unfortunately, anything that's green you can't touch. System voltage control. Unless you're running a really, really expensive setup, I don't recommend touching that. So I'm going to escape. So now, what you have just seen is everything that's in your BIOS. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment, like, and subscribe.